In the cold depths of space, the Zorgak scout ship Thaluxia drifted silently in high orbit over a blue-green world. Commander Xyloth Kraxner studied the data streaming across his holodisplay with a mix of fascination and unease. This unassuming planet, catalogued as GX-227 but known to its inhabitants as Earth, had captured the attention of the Zorgak's empire. What had started as a routine survey mission had quickly escalated into a matter of galactic importance. The source of Xyloth's consternation was the dominant sentient species of GX-227, the humans. Despite their relatively primitive technology, the humans exhibited a remarkable adaptability and an alarming propensity for violence. Xyloth watched archival footage of human conflicts, their so-called world wars. He marveled at the speed of their societal and technological advancement, progressing from using chemically propelled projectiles to harnessing the power of the atom in mere centuries. Such rapid development was unheard of among the galaxy's spacefaring civilizations. His exosociologist, Thrasir Voxis, had become increasingly agitated as she analyzed the historical and cultural data intercepted from human transmissions. "Commander, these humans are unstable," Thrasir exclaimed, her usually calm demeanor cracking. "Their entire history is one of conflict and conquest. Even now, they teeter on the brink of self-annihilation with weapons capable of poisoning their entire biosphere." Xyloth nodded solemnly. The humans' capacity for self-destruction was indeed troubling. Yet it was their potential that truly worried him. If they managed to survive their own destructive tendencies, how long would it be until they turned their attentions to the stars? He turned to his communications officer, Xandrithis Pykra. "Have you had any success deciphering their military encryptions?" Xandrithis chittered nervously. "Only fragments, Commander. But what I've seen is concerning. They have contingencies for encounters with extraterrestrial life. Some even propose preemptive strikes if they deem us a threat." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. The implications were clear. The humans, even in their infancy as a spacefaring race, were already contemplating war with beings they'd never met. Xyloth made his decision. "We must bring this to the attention of the Galactic Council. The humans are too dangerous to be left unchecked. Helm, set a course for the Talixian sector. We have much to report." As the Thaluxia powered up its warp drive and prepared to break orbit, Xyloth couldn't shake the sense of unease that had settled in his stomach. The humans were a wild card, one that could upset the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. And now, they were the Galactic Council's problem. The Galactic Council chamber was a cacophony of agitated voices. Representatives from a myriad of spacefaring civilizations argued and gesticulated, their agitation palpable even through the shimmering fields of their translation bubbles. At the center of the chamber, Commander Xyloth Kraxner stood stoically, his report on the humans of GX-227 having just concluded. The reaction was as tumultuous as he had feared. "Preposterous," bellowed the Kravian ambassador, his scaly hide flushing an angry crimson. "You expect us to believe that these primitives pose a threat to the galactic order?" Xyloth held his ground. "I only present the facts, Ambassador. The humans are advancing at an unprecedented rate. Their capacity for violence and their aggressive tendencies cannot be ignored." The elderly representative, a willowy being of pure energy, pulsed with concern. "If the humans are as dangerous as the Zorgak suggest, perhaps it is our duty to intervene. Guide them before they become a threat to themselves and others." This sparked a new wave of outrage. The Bazorian delegate slammed a pseudopod on their podium. "Guide them? You mean uplift them? Share our technologies, our knowledge? That would be madness." Xyloth could see the lines being drawn. The council was splitting into factions, those who saw the humans as a threat to be contained, and those who saw an opportunity to shape a new civilization. As the debate raged on, a motion was put forth by the Ligorian emissary. "I propose we send a delegation to GX-227. Let us assess the humans directly and make an informed decision on their fate." The chamber fell silent as the council considered the proposal. Slowly, one by one, the representatives signaled their assent. The elderly representative pulsed with a soft, hopeful glow. "The delegation is approved. May wisdom guide their path." As the council adjourned, Xyloth couldn't help but feel a sense of trepidation. The fate of the humans, and potentially the galaxy, now rested on the findings of this delegation. He could only hope they were prepared for what they would find on GX-227. The Galactic Council delegation arrived on Earth with little fanfare. Their cloaked ship settled into a geosynchronous orbit, and small teams were dispatched to key locations worldwide to observe and assess human civilization. Xyloth Kraxner, appointed as the delegation's leader, found himself in a bustling human city called New York. He and his team had taken on human forms to blend in, their advanced disguise technology rendering them indistinguishable from the natives. As they walked the city streets, Xyloth couldn't help but marvel at the humans' adaptability. They had built towering structures of glass and steel, tamed electricity to power their cities, and connected the entire planet through vast networks of information. All this, while still confined to their own world. But there was a darker side to this ingenuity. The streets were also filled with the homeless and destitute, victims of the humans' unequal social structures. Petty crimes and acts of violence were rampant, a testament to their aggressive tendencies. It was during a visit to a human museum that the delegation witnessed firsthand the true nature of the human wildcard. Xyloth and his team were observing an exhibit on human warfare when a group of armed individuals burst into the building. They were shouting demands and waving their primitive firearms, clearly intending to take the museum patrons hostage. The delegation watched in horror as the scene unfolded. But then, something unexpected happened. A handful of humans, seemingly ordinary civilians, sprang into action. One tackled a gunman, disarming him with a swift, practiced motion. Another herded bystanders to safety, calming panicked children with soothing words. A third, an elderly male, confronted the leader of the assailants, speaking calmly and persuasively until the aggressor lowered his weapon, a look of shame crossing his face. In mere minutes, the situation was diffused. The assailants were restrained, and order was restored. The delegation was stunned. Xyloth turned to his team, his expression grave. You see? This is the human paradox. Capable of great violence, yet also great heroism. Unpredictable. Uncontrollable. His second, Thrasir Voxus, nodded solemnly. They are a chaotic element. They cannot be quantified or predicted like other species. As the delegation returned to their ship, Xyloth knew their report to the council would be grim. The humans were indeed a wild card, one that could tip the balance of galactic power in unforeseeable ways. The question was, what would the council do with this information? The Galactic Council was in an uproar. The delegation's report on the humans had been presented, and now, the representatives of the galaxy's great civilizations were faced with a decision that could alter the course of history. Xyloth Kraxner stood before the council, his expression grave as he fielded a barrage of questions and accusations. You claim the humans are a threat, yet you also speak of their capacity for good, the elderly representative pulsed, their form shimmering with confusion. How can we condemn a species for having the same dualistic nature that exists in us all? Xyloth stood firm. It is not their dualistic nature that concerns us, but the unpredictability that stems from it. The humans are capable of great leaps in both progress and destruction. They are a volatile element. The Kravian ambassador scoffed, their scales rattling with derision. Volatile? I say let them destroy themselves. It is the way of lesser species. But the Ligorian emissary interjected, their melodic voice ringing through the chamber. And what of our duty to foster life and guide those who are still finding their way? Do we not have a responsibility to the humans, as we do to all sentient beings? The debate raged on, each species arguing from their own perspective. Some, like the elderly, advocated for uplifting the humans, sharing knowledge and technology to guide their development. Others, like the Kravians, saw the humans as a threat to be eliminated before they could spread beyond their world. Still others, like the Bazorians, argued for isolation, quarantining Earth and leaving the humans to their own devices. As the arguments reached a fever pitch, the galactic mediator called for order. It is clear that we are divided on this matter. Let us then put it to a vote. The fate of the humans will be decided by the wisdom of this council. Xyloth watched as each representative cast their vote, the tally displayed on a massive holoscreen. The fate of an entire species, decided by the press of a button. In the end, the vote was split evenly. The council was deadlocked. The mediator's voice rang out, tinged with resignation. In the absence of a clear majority, the council's protocol is clear. We will not interfere with the humans. Their fate is their own to decide. As the council adjourned, Xyloth couldn't shake the feeling that this was not the end. The humans had been spared the council's judgment, but for how long? He feared that the decision to leave the humans to their own devices would have consequences that would ripple across the galaxy. It began with a series of unexplained disappearances. Human space stations, research outposts on the fringes of their solar system, gone silent without warning. Then came the attacks, swift, brutal, and utterly without mercy. The humans were under assault from an unknown enemy, and they were woefully unprepared. Xyloth Kraxner watched the unfolding chaos with a sense of grim resignation. He had feared that the Galactic Council's decision to leave the humans to their own devices would have consequences, but he had never imagined they would come so swiftly or with such devastating force. It didn't take long for Xyloth to discover the identity of the attackers. They were Kravians, a faction of hardliners who had broken from the Council in protest of the vote to spare the humans. Led by the ruthless warlord Krax, they had taken it upon themselves to eliminate the human threat. The Galactic Council was thrown into disarray. The attack on the humans was a clear violation of their laws, but the Kravians were a powerful force, and many feared the repercussions of opposing them directly. On Earth, the situation was dire. The Kravian ships were vastly superior to anything the humans could field, their weapons cutting through human defenses like a plasma torch through steel. But the humans refused to yield. In a move that surprised the galaxy, the humans managed to capture a Kravian ship. In a matter of days, they had reverse-engineered its technology, adapting it to their own designs. The tide of the war began to turn. The human ships, though fewer in number, began to score victories against the Kravians. They fought with a ferocity and unpredictability that confounded their enemies, their tactics evolving and adapting with each engagement. Back on the Galactic Council, Xyloth argued for intervention. We cannot stand idly by while the Kravians slaughter the humans, he implored. If we do not act, we are complicit in genocide. But the Council was paralyzed by indecision. Some argued that the humans had proven themselves capable of defending themselves. Others feared the wrath of the Kravians. On the front lines, the war ground on. The Kravians, for all their technological might, found themselves mired in a conflict they had not anticipated. The humans were tenacious, fighting tooth and nail for every inch of space. It was a war of attrition, and it was one the Kravians were ill-equipped to fight. As the conflict entered its second year, it became clear that there would be no easy victory. The Kravians had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. On Earth, the once fractured nations had united in the face of the alien threat. The war had forged them into a single, unified force, one that grew stronger with each passing day. The galaxy watched and wondered. The humans, once dismissed as primitives, had shown themselves to be a force to be reckoned with. And the question on everyone's minds was, what would happen when the war was over? What kind of power would the humans be, forged in the crucible of interstellar conflict? Only time would tell. The war had raged for 5 long years, and the galaxy had watched in awe as the once primitive humans had not only survived, but thrived in the face of annihilation. The Kravian forces, once thought to be unassailable, had been beaten back, their ships shattered, and their armies routed. In the end, it was not military might that brought the conflict to a close, but diplomacy. Faced with the prospect of a war without end, a war they could not win, the Galactic Council had finally interceded. A delegation was sent to Earth, led by none other than Xyloth Kraxner. The humans, wary of further alien interference, had been reluctant to accept the overture. But Xyloth had earned their trust, having been a lone voice of support on the Council throughout the war. The negotiations were long and fraught, but in the end, an agreement was reached. The Kravians would withdraw from human space, and in return, The humans would limit their expansion and refrain from developing certain technologies deemed too dangerous by the Council. It was a bitter pill for the humans to swallow, but they knew that peace, even a flawed peace, was preferable to endless war. In the aftermath of the conflict, the galaxy was forever changed. The humans, once a footnote in galactic history, were now a major power. They had not only survived the Kravian onslaught, but had reverse-engineered their technology, advancing their own capabilities by centuries in a matter of years. The Galactic Council, too, was transformed. The war had exposed the deep divisions and power imbalances within the organization, and many called for reform. Xyloth Kraxner, the Zorgax commander who had first brought the humans to the Council's attention, found himself at the forefront of this movement. Under Xyloth's leadership, the Council began to shift its focus. No longer would it be a body concerned solely with maintaining the status quo. Instead, it would actively work to foster cooperation and understanding between species, to uplift and guide younger civilizations. And the humans would be a key part of this new order. Their unique perspective, their adaptability and resilience would be invaluable in navigating the challenges of a rapidly changing galaxy. As for Earth itself, the war had left scars, but it had also brought unity. The old divisions of nation and creed had been swept away, replaced by a singular identity, human. And with this unity came a newfound sense of purpose, a determination to take their place among the stars. In the years that followed, human ships would venture ever further into the cosmos, not as conquerors, but as explorers and diplomats. They would forge alliances with other species, share their knowledge, and learn in turn. And always, they would remember the lessons of the war. That strength lies in diversity, that understanding is more powerful than fear, and that even the smallest of sparks can ignite the greatest of changes. The galaxy would never be the same. The old order had been swept away, and in its place, a new balance had emerged. And at the center of it all were the humans, once dismissed as primitives, now poised to shape the future of the cosmos. It was a brave new world, full of challenges and opportunities. And the humans, with their indomitable spirit and boundless curiosity, were ready to meet it head-on.